How was last night for you, Randy? Good. Yeah. You had what, 15 subs or something yesterday? Do you think this? Yeah. Are those subs that played last night in the concert, or it was just for one rehearsal? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah, they're trying to get string section.
Yeah.
Stratford?
Yeah, we rehearsed last night.
I think there's going to be a lot of groups. I mean, so much turnover.
Yeah, we had some retirements.
Concert. Getting a lot of work out elsewhere, but I don't meeting or
Yeah, I don't think we were doing that either. But I liked it. I definitely could hear Skelton playing.
I like Sid too. Sorry? Sig.
Yes, he was fun, yeah.
He was the first one.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it's going to be a whole new world, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Has your trombone quartet played together at all?
It's been years. Probably 4 or 5.
That's a shame.
The problem was more Dave. He was always so wishy-washy about rehearsals. I couldn't stand him anymore.
Well, and I know there was a tension between him and Johann.
Oh, yeah. All of us, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's totally a genius, right?
Well, that's his nature.
And then even with grassroots, he was all gung-ho up until the day before that first rehearsal. He goes, I'm sick. The phone said, I don't know if I can do it. I'll be there at the concert tomorrow.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And so we thought, oh God, what's happened? Arm problems or hip problems or whatever. He showed up at the choir
hasn't been playing, then he doesn't want to be,
I think that's part of it.
especially with like grassroots where you've got to.
You gotta be on it, and it's gonna be a heavy hurdling.
Yeah.
It's just, I hope that he decides that maybe he'll stick with part.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of excellent commentators around that we can slot
Oh,
in.
yeah. Well, we got Carl back, and he was the original,
Yeah.
the guy that started it, so he's back in town, so he's playing for Dave.
I know that it sounds like Jim's embraced the jazz side.
Yeah, I think
But he is so versatile. You could slot him back in, no problem.
yeah, well, there's feelings behind that. Because he played with us. Then he quit because he was going out to band.
Yeah.
So then we went to China and we took Seth.
Yeah.
And we took Peter Collins.
Yeah.
Came back. And the question was, like Jeff, he was out. And then we had to decide on the second player. He comes back. And they decided to take the local guy.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was like, well, I've been playing with him for 7 years, so I should have ordered him.
Well,
And I put in a thing saying he was working in London
Yeah, it would've-
but it's a good fit, and
would've
it's
been
like,
an excellent
let's
fit.
have him. But they decided to go with Seth, so like that, he thinks that John maybe pushed for Seth. I don't know.
well, I know he was upset about Wellington Winds when.
Oh yeah, well then when you leave, you have to.
Well,
make it
he
clear.
was upset because he'd done a concert, even two, for Susan. And then she comes back and he's
Right.
feeling, oh.
When he
and
wants to come back to Wellington, yes, he wants to play for us.
Still,
I think so. I don't know.
I love myself. I love playing. I really do. But, yeah. I don't know. Is Susan?
I don't know. Yeah, she's a string bass.
So she is still playing and is in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's on bass with symphony, so I don't know what the tenor. She's doing horn with the Stratford band.
Yeah. But
They probably need her in the horn section if they want to win some more than they need.
well, yeah. I mean, although we always seem to have difficulties when someone can't be there, and I'm not sure. I don't think Jimmy will come back to Wellington. He's leaving Big Band Theory on Sunday nights. I think that should.
Well, I don't know. I don't have the results from the people saying.
Yeah. No, I would be very surprised if Jimmy was interested in coming back to Wellington, even though I would love him to come back. However, personalities. It's always interesting.
I played with them. That was probably 3 weeks ago. They have a trombone sextet kind of thing. And he got all the music to the trumpet players. So Sammy and Jessa and John was there. I was filling in for Paul because he was away. Came back later. Yeah, we played that whole thing. We have a rhythm section with piano and bass and drums.
I think we'll get started. We don't have too many people here today, but we've got a whole bunch online. Excellent. But it's nice to see people in the sanctuary, even though you have to all wear your masks. I'm going to start off by saying thank you to Stuart McTavish, Gloria Roberts, and Beth Thorson for actually finding the people for our programs that we've had since the end of February, beginning of March. I think they've done a wonderful job at having different kinds of speakers, and I think we've quite enjoyed the time that we've had together online. So it's nice to see a few people in the sanctuary, though. And I want to thank all of you, either here in the sanctuary or at home, for supporting us through this Wednesday at Knox process. When I was trying to think about something to do for a kind of a devotion or whatever today, I was thinking, well, what am I going to do this week? And last week was Earth Day, and I thought, well, maybe I'll do something around Earth Day. But then I thought, oh, we had the Birdman, and we had them talking about the Region of Waterloo plan and how that's going to affect climate change and all those kinds of things. So I thought, I think we've kind of done that. And then I thought, well, next week, I think, or in a couple of weeks, it's Mother's Day, so maybe I'll do something around mothers. And I have this book called Chicken Soup for the Mother's Soul. So I was kind of looking through it. Now, so many of them, though, I thought, no, I can't read that one. I'll start to cry. But I found one, and I hope that we can practice this soon and over the summer, and it's called What Color is a Hug? And it's written in this book by Loretta Hall. It says, when my youngest daughter, Bernadette, was 10 years old, I found myself worried about her. The last 4 years had been difficult ones for our family. Bernadette was especially close to her grandparents, who doted on her, and one by one they had died in a short period of time. A relentless series of losses like that is hard on anyone, especially a child. But it was particularly hard on Bernadette because of her sensitive and loving nature. By the time she was 10, she was immersed in what I could only call a depression. For nearly a year, she rarely smiled. She just seemed to go through the motions of living. Her trademark sparkle had diminished drastically. I didn't know what to do. Bernadette could tell I was worried about her, and that seemed to increase the burden that she carried. One day after she left for school, I sat in the family room in an overstuffed chair. Our family had been big on hugs. As a child, my parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, we were all quick to pull us kids into a warm embrace. And ever since I left home, whenever problems weighed on me, I visualized myself in my dad's lap, settling into his embrace. Oh, Dad, I murmured missing my parent, what can I do to help Bernadette? I almost laughed out loud when it struck me. Recently, I've been reading about the therapeutic effects of hugs. Could it be that hug therapy would do my daughter some good? Not knowing what else to try, I resolved to hug her as often as I could, without making it seem premeditated. Slowly, over the next weeks, Bernadette grew more cheerful and relaxed. Smiles appeared with increasing frequency, the genuine kind that animated her eyes as well as her mouth. She worked and played with heightened enthusiasm, and within a few months, the frequent heartfelt hugs had conquered the gloom. I never told Bernadette about my strategy, but she clearly recognized how important the hugs had been, and whenever she felt troubled, uncertain, or just a little down, she asked for a hug. Or when she noticed that I was sad or tense, she would say, "You look like you could use a hug." The darn things turned out to be habit-forming. The years passed, hugging for us has become such an easy comfort that we never expected it to become a problem. But at some time during her months of college selection, she and I both realized that we were certainly facing a period of withdrawal, especially since her college choice was 1,700 miles away. We celebrated my birthday a week before Bernadette was to leave for college. And a week earlier, she had told me excitedly that she had thought of a great idea for a gift. And she embarked on a mysterious shopping expedition and periodically disappeared into her bedroom to work on her creation. On the day itself, she presented me with a beautifully wrapped package. Somewhat nervously, she said she hoped I didn't think it was silly. I opened the accompanying envelope and found a photocopy of a story which she had told me she'd read aloud, and it's called The Hugging Judge, and it had appeared in the original Chicken Soup for the Soul. Bernadette listened as I read about Lee Shapiro, a retired judge who offered hugs to everyone who seemed to need one, a harried bus driver, a harassed media maid. He created a hugger kit containing little stick-on hearts that he could offer strangers in exchange for a hug. Ultimately, he faced a personal test when a friend took him to a home for disabled persons. And at the end of that sobering day, he was faced with an unfortunate man who could do nothing but sit and drool. After the judge forced himself to embrace this solitary person, the patient smiled for the first time in about 20 years. The story ended with how simple it is to make a difference in the life of others. Deeply moved, I tore the wrapping paper from my gift. Tears coursed down my cheeks. Inside was a tall, clear canister decorated with a glittering label said, "Hugs," and packed with miniature, hand-sewn, heart-shaped pillows. Bernadette is far away now, but every time I look at that canister of hearts, I feel as if she has just hugged me again. Hugging is healthy. It helps the immune system. It cures depression. It reduces stress and induces sleep. It's invigorating, rejuvenating, has no unpleasant side effects. Hugging is nothing less than a miracle drug. Hugging is all natural. It's organic, naturally sweet, no artificial ingredients, non-polluting, environmentally friendly, and 100% wholesome. Hugging is the ideal gift, great for any occasion, fun to give and receive, shows you care, comes with its own wrapping, and is, of course, fully returnable. Hugging is practically perfect. No batteries to wear out, inflation-proof, non-fattening, no monthly payments, theft-proof, and non-taxable. Hugging is an underutilized resource with magical powers. When we open our hearts and arms, we encourage others to do the same. Think of the people in your life. Are there any words you'd like to say? Are there any hugs you want to share? Are you waiting and hoping someone else will ask first? Please don't wait. Initiate. So I hope that, I know through the pandemic, hugging has been kind of put on the back burner, but I'm hoping that we can get back into hugging people in the near future. Just ask. I'm sure somebody will let you give them a hug. Now I'm going to introduce our people that are entertaining us for the day. This group is called Full House Brass. They've been practicing here in the sanctuary during the pandemic, and they've recorded a number of pieces that have been played at Easter and Palm Sunday and Christmas, and we've enjoyed them immensely. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and let's enjoy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As many of you know, we are the Full House Brass Quintet. Everybody knows Deb Lacoste on trumpet here, I would think, right? You all know her. And you all know Carolyn Culp on tenor trombone.
Our other trumpet player is Dave Manning. He's from Stratford. And then, of course, Susan follows on bass trombone. I think you probably know too. And my name's Randy Patterson, and I play the French horn. We haven't played to many full houses since COVID, except by recorded video, but we are thrilled to be able to play here today live. So rather than play a traditional brass quintet concert for you, we will take advantage of your actual presence and provide some interactive fun. Along the way, we hope to pique your musical curiosity, get your arms moving, and your neural pathways humming. It'll be almost as good as hugs. Maybe not quite, but we'll get there. We'll start with a fanfare written by German-born English composer George Frederick Handel, who was born in 1685 and lived to be 74. Handel's water music, written in 1717, may be the original barge music. Something I didn't know is that Handel was commissioned to write the water music to combat against ageism. In an effort to outdo the lavish London parties staged by his popular son and heir, George II, King George I commissioned Handel to create an extravagant outdoor concert to remind Londoners that he, King George I, was still very much alive and very capable of hosting events fit for a king. The Daily Courant, the first British daily newspaper, described the first performance of the water music as follows. At about 8 p.m. on Wednesday, the 17th of July, 1717, King George I and several aristocrats boarded a royal barge at Whitehall Palace for an excursion up the Thames towards Chelsea. The rising tide propelled the barge upstream without rowing. Another barge, provided by the City of London, contained about 50 musicians, featuring a handful of strings, about a dozen reed instruments, mainly oboes and bassoons, and reinforcements from horns, trumpets, and drums. I gotta think that was a large barge. Many wealthy Londoners also took to the river to hear the concert. In fact, the whole river was covered with boats and barges. The king was so pleased with this water music that he ordered it to be repeated at least 3 times, both on the trip upstream to Chelsea and on his return to Whitehall. That means the musicians were playing out on the Thames from 8 p.m. to midnight with only one break. Here is a short movement from the water music called simply Allegro Maestoso, which means a fast and lively tempo played in a majestic manner. Our second piece is taken from a flute sonata by George Philipp Telemann, who lived in 18th century Germany, that is, the Baroque period. Born in 1681, he lived to the very respectable age of 88. This flute solo would have been played in drawing rooms of that time, accompanied by a harpsichord or some other Baroque keyboard instrument. The title is simply Allegro, which, as you know, means fast. It wasn't until the 19th century that composers really began to get creative with the titles of their compositions. Let me know which of us you hear playing the melody. Who's the flute? One of the most famous musicians. Oh, I didn't ask you. Who was the flute? Anyone? The trumpet? Did you get to play the flute melody? On the flugelhorn? No? Partly. It's actually a trick question. Who else heard the melody? Yes? Yes. Yeah, we got to play it. In fact, I think we all got to play a bit of the flute melody. So whoever you guessed, you were right. All right.
No wrong answers.
No wrong answers. One of the most famous musicians from the Baroque period is Johann Sebastian Bach. Funny story. As famous and revered as Bach is now, his music was considered old-fashioned in the 1730s. When he was looking for a new job in Leipzig, he was the third choice of the church elders, behind Graupner and the ever-popular Telemann. He eventually got the position of Kapellmeister, which means he was responsible for playing the organ, conducting the singers and other musicians, and composing cantatas, intricate fugues, chamber music, and dense choral masterpieces. To continue our emerging theme about longevity, Bach was born in 1685 and lived to be 65 at a time when most people didn't live past 50. But before we begin Bach's air from Suite Number 3, it's time for you to get more involved. In this arrangement for brass quintet, the bass trombone plays a steady beat throughout. So I'd like you, if you can, try keeping the beat with Susan by tapping your hand on your legs. Notice how keeping the beat with your hand really helps you to hear it. So just this on your leg like that. All right. Great. Now we're going to play the piece, and yes, we'll keep tapping, right? But I'm going to enter my horn first.
She has lots of tubing. It takes a while to find the water.
That's great. We'll try that. So how was that? Could you feel the music? It makes a difference, doesn't it? All right. Conductors keep the beat like this all the time. So you won't be surprised to hear that conducting is really good exercise. So it follows that orchestra conductors of the past lived well into their 80s and 90s with all that exercise. Leopold Stokowski lived to be 95. Pablo Casals, 96. Nadia Boulanger, 90. And Arturo Toscanini, 89. Some of you might have seen Canadian conductor, composer, and arranger Howard Cable, who was still conducting well into his 90s, and he lived to the ripe old age of 95. Scientists believe there are a number of reasons why conductors live so long. First, Conductors keep the beat for many hours a day in both rehearsals and concerts. Also, they work standing up rather than sitting for long hours at a stretch in front of a computer screen. Standing and doing upper body exercises provide a great cardiovascular workout that expands the rib cage and muscles of the chest and exercises the lungs. A conductor needs to breathe deeply from the diaphragm to keep arm movements going for a whole symphony concert. Also, the arm movements cause the heart to pump strongly so blood and oxygen flow to the muscles, organs, and brain. On a cognitive level, conductors use both hands at once. While the right hand keeps the beat, the left hand provides expressive gestures to cue the musicians and coordinate a group interpretation of a work. I've learned to pat my head and rub my stomach like this. I don't know how many of you can do this, but I'm not sure I can do it. Oh, anyway. But conducting takes much more coordination, including facial expressions. In developing this coordination and interpretation, conductors are consistently creating and reinforcing new neural pathways. The result? Conducting means both a great physical and mental workout. Finally, conductors both shape and receive a cascade of inspiring and rejuvenating music that can trigger a dizzying array of emotional states, from calming inner peace to intense empathy to exuberant joy. Conductors don't necessarily follow the best diets or live simple, stress-free lives. They often are jetting around the world and adhering to grueling schedules. Yet they often live long, productive lives thanks to a powerful triple punch of mental, physical, and spiritual health. Nice work if you can get it. You may not be planning on becoming a conductor anytime soon, but conducting to music, especially live music, will give you a dose of this same musical elixir. So let's try conducting. Most music lives or moves in groups of twos or threes. For example, marches move in groups of two, following the alternating foot pattern 1, 2, left, right, 1, 2, 1, 2. The strong beat, the 1, is always the strong one. Conductors use their right hand to dictate this beat. Susan says beating in a 2 pattern reminds her of cutting a cake. So let's try it. When you conduct in 2, it's like cut, up, cut, up, cut, up, cut, up, cut, up, cut, cut. Yay! So does that get you a bit winded? It's great exercise. Let me see. Here we go. Our next piece, the Trish Trash Polka by Johann Strauss, who lived to be 74, uses the same 2-beat, down, up, cut, up, 2-beat pattern. From your seats, try conducting with me. As fitness instructors say, those of you who want a challenge can try to keep going until the music stops. To get started, watch Dave as he sets the beat for us and the quartet. have time, this is the time in the program when we ask if one of you wants to conduct us doing this again. You could come up here. I have a baton. You could come here. I will pass it to you from a distance. And you can try conducting the group. Is there someone who's brave enough? Yes, yes. I see someone moving. Yay! What's that? Well, you're supposed to use your right hand. My husband's left-handed, so you put it in your right hand and just do this. All right.
We'll have to play backwards.
Yeah, play backwards.
I don't know if we can follow.
Grade one, that was we didn't have kindergarten where I was from. I was in grade one and I lost out on my audition for conductor of the rhythm band. And I lost out to my friend Chucky, who stayed my friend until he died 2 years ago. And he was ahead of me musically because I only took piano lessons. And he was taking accordion lessons in the high school band. I played French horn, and he played bass drum. And he beat me out for that. We tried out. Conducting the rhythm band. And he beat me, but he stayed my friend until the day he died.
You're understanding.
But now, I never knew why I lost to him. But it's because I was left-handed.
Oh, maybe so. Well, we'll let you conduct left-handed today. Come on back.
Come on back.
Ellen!
She's calling you back.
Come back.
I can only do it left-handed.
Yep, go ahead. We'll play like this then.
Hand it like this, and I will give you no, two. Oh, give him 2 sets of 2. Okay, so start up here. 1, 2. Bravo! You can not only conduct with your left hand, you can march too at the same time. Oh, no wonder, no wonder. Excellent. Thank you again. Of course, not all music moves in groups of 2. To conduct music that moves in groups of 3, the conductor draws a right-angled triangle in the air, starting at the top. The strong beat is on 1, and then, as in cut the cake, the same as before, but then you go down, out, up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So it's a right-angled triangle. We really want that 1 to be clear for everybody. So it looks like we're almost ready for this. So a waltz is a good example of music moving in groups of 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have a special brass player rendition of the Blue Danube Waltz to demonstrate this 3-beat pattern. Susan starts with a strong downbeat. 1, 2, 3. Then the 2 and 3 come in 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, and then the melody 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. A little faster. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 2, 3. All right, great. That's enough of that. I bet you haven't heard the waltz played that way before. We've chosen Sunrise, Sunset from Fiddler on the Roof because it moves in slow groups of threes. For good exercise, conduct from your chairs. If you start getting tired, you can use a favorite conducting trick. That is, you take out the corners of the triangle and actually conduct in a circle. Again, the strong beat needs to be at the bottom. So if it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you want to cheat. A lot of conductors do. All right, so here we go. Sunrise, sunset. I know there are a few other brave people out there who really want to do a 3 pattern. Who's going to come up and do this?
Oh, there's one.
Oh. Great. All right. Here we go. Now, if you give them 1, 2, 3, 1, give them 2 bars for nothing, they'll know to come in. So you get a solo for 2 bars. 1, 2, Is there somebody else who'd like to do this?
There's someone at the back.
Oh, someone at the back. Come up. Yes. Yay.
Can't see a thing with these glasses.
You just get yours, but you could do it faster. Yes. 2 bars for nothing. 1, 2. comments? Are you all keeping up the beat? It's a good exercise. All right. So, we have a few more modern pieces for your conducting pleasure. George Gershwin was known for bringing swing and jazz rhythms into orchestral and show music. He was also good at writing creative titles. There's no allegro for him. The first piece that we're going to play is called Fascinating Rhythm, and it has a strict down-up beat that you can conduct in two. While the beat is steady, the rhythm and the melody and harmonies are not. They are swung. It's these swung rhythms that make the piece so fascinating. To demonstrate swing, Deb will first play the melody in a steady or straight rhythm while we keep the beat. All right, so boring, certainly not swing. Okay, let's try again. So our beat stays the same. It's very steady, otherwise we couldn't all keep together. But the rhythm is fascinating. So when we're not playing, we'll be doing this to make sure you get the beat, but your job is to keep the beat, and you'll find it's a little odd because of the swing, but just keep steady for us. Fascinating. Our next Gershwin song is called By Strauss. The three-beat pattern of this music is inspired by Johann Strauss, the Waltz King. Strauss didn't use swing rhythms, so Gershwin doesn't either. But you can conduct a fast triangle pattern for this one, but most conductors like to conduct waltzes in one, using a circle. It's less tiring and more fun. Our last Gershwin piece is a favorite of ours. You can conduct this in an easy 2-beat. Again, we get to swing the rhythm. This piece is called Nice Work, meaning getting to play this swing music is indeed nice work if you can get it. And now you can also get it by conducting. So maybe before we start this, you can give a sense of the beat.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That'd be good.
Great.
Here we go.
So I think we're near the end of our program and our time. Do you have any quick questions for us? Yes.
Obviously, someone up there is setting the tempo. You don't have a conductor. It's obvious to see who starts you off. How do you keep together without an obvious conductor? You just feel where each other is, or who's setting the tempo for you?
There's hope in the room.
That's a very good question. I think when you saw Dave start that last piece, he starts it at the beginning so we can catch it, and then throughout, it's usually the trumpets are in this group who are able to, when we need extra time, but otherwise we have to listen.
And also, there's usually a lot of rehearsal behind it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rehearsal beforehand.
So are there times when you're, for lack of a better term, sliding with each other? Like in ways that we don't notice. We don't notice when that happens, perhaps, but you would feel when that happens.
Definitely.
It's when we make eye contact, then you gotta be worried for us a little.
Yeah, the music will have retards, like slowing down, speeding up, and yes, we sort of practice that, but also there are cues from, originally there weren't conductors. The original orchestras didn't have conductors. There would be, usually the first violinist would do it, or would have a great big stick and just bang it on the floor. Okay, anything else? That's how he died. Lully died, actually. He was a conductor, and he actually hit the thing on his foot. He was doing it so hard, and he got infected in his foot. And one of the first, yeah.
Death by conducting.
Yes, death by conducting. Don't remember that part, though. All right. Thank you again for being an actively curious audience and participating in our musical exercises. Just think of all those new neural pathways you've made today. And I think we are going to play... Oh, you have announcements now?
You go first. You go first and we'll go at the end.
Okay. Because we have a piece that you all know we're going to play at the very end. Okay.
You're first. We're first? I think you're first. Yeah. We'll go first? Okay.
Oh, you want to do that? So Grant needs to
Bring up the words.
two verses,
This
right?
is for you to sing.
You'll remember it all.
Yep, it'll come back just like that. You can conduct it also.
Thank
of the Full House brass.
We, Wednesday at Knoxers, would love to give you all a great big hug to say thank you. We won't, but we would love to. You have entertained us today. You have educated us as you always do. You have challenged us, and today you've added an exercise component. You've brought a new appreciation for conductors to us. In a very non-traditional year, or 2 years, we really appreciate that we've been able to end this abbreviated but very important re-beginning to Wednesday at Knox with our traditional ending. We thank you so much for that. I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of the Wednesdays at Knox Committee, to all of you for coming out, and to everyone who is listening online. We hope to return to a normal Wednesdays at Knox in the fall. We shall see how it goes. Till we meet again, thank you.